Good morning, everyone. I'm Brent Kromer, and this is the FSA podcast where we teach online health coaches how to sell at a higher rate and scale their businesses with more profit. Now, we do that through the sustainable growth model, which sets them up for the perfect 30 for 30, 30K per month on 30 hours per week. Now, today I'm joined by Mike Crowson, CEO and co-founder of Acquisition and Retention Funnel, which is a CRM platform that allows for automations, lead acquisition, and email marketing. Mike, you've taken the concept of a CRM, which, most people have, right? You've turned it into this absolute powerhouse for lead generation. Can you kind of walk us through how you were able to do that?
Yeah, man. Well, first off, dude, thanks for having me, brother. It's good
Absolutely.
to see your content, everything you're putting out, and obviously being in somewhat of the same space, it's good to see other people put out good info, man. So
I
thank you for
appreciate
that.
that.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. Let's do it.
Man, I think the epiphany for me was my girlfriend being in the coaching industry, and we have this feast or famine mentality that typically happens. And it's kind of based off of, well, you do X amount of work, you make X amount of money. And I come from the e-commerce world. I had a company, we did 8 figures. I recently just sold it.
Nice.
And those 7, 8, 9-figure strategies, individuals, solopreneurs, trainers don't use. And so the epiphany for me was, how do I bring in those strategies into a singular business instead of a massive business model? And I try to break it down in very simple terms. Is that when you go to a website, right, to purchase a product, what's the first thing that pops up? 10% off, 15% off, free shipping. And the whole point of that is knowing that, and for those that have websites, do note this, the average conversion rate is 3%, which means that all these 7, 8-figure companies know that odds are you're not going to purchase. But the average person that fills out one of those forms is around 30%. So for me, it was like, okay, so I know that. So a website's not the best approach. Paula had a Facebook group, my girlfriend. She was getting hundreds of members. She was averaging probably like 3 or 4 new members a day, and wasn't really promoting or posting it.
Sure.
And she was gathering the information, right? Email, and then manually emailing people out. And I was like, this is terrible as a person that comes from an automated business model.
Yeah.
Right. And I was like, emailing's great. But another statistic for you is the average email open rate's 20% with a 1.75 click rate. Not response, not purchase, just click an email.
Sure.
He's like, well, that's obviously not a great way to do it either. Yeah, okay, I'm going to send a message inside Facebook Messenger. You got to be friends. It goes into spam.
Yeah.
I was like, man, this is 2023. We need some text messaging to play. So what happened was I realized that if we can have a text message conversation with every single person that joins a Facebook group, or every single person that downloads an ebook or gets a free course, or whatever insert your lead magnet is, then we're going to have more conversations. Sure. My entire business model is conversations over applications. And so it allowed us to have more conversations with people. And now instead of getting only 3% of people to fill out an application, those that are bold, brave, and ready to purchase, it's like now we can have a conversation and cast a big, broad net for all those people that are a little insecure or not ready to take action. And so now we're able to essentially more conversations, which is going to convert into more sales. I mean,
now, when you say more conversation,
more text message conversations.
So people are coming, because earlier you mentioned a lead form, I assume, right? So they're filling out a lead form. Is this via paid traffic, or is this more like lead magnet to landing page, fill out the lead form, get their phone number, send them text message? Or
yeah, so a great example would be like for example, the link in my bio, right, which is Mike_CROWSON. And what it is what we like to use. It's a stand store, like it's a bona fide link tree. That's what we're currently using. I'm actually currently working on developing one myself.
Nice.
But the idea is to not have somebody go to a .com website. I want to get you before you go to a landing page. And the reason is that anybody that has a website sells something. So I instantly put a wall up when I go to a website because I know, hey, this person has this for a reason. I'm just trying to join a Facebook group. I'm just trying to get this free little lead magnet. right? Something low barrier of entry.
Mm-hmm.
So we try to stay away from the sales process until it's time for the sales process. And so we basically say, hey, you want to join my group? You just click the link in my bio. It just really pops up and you can see it all on one page. You don't have to go to a landing page. You don't need a website. Name, number, email, and consent. And then they join, and then they come into our CRM system where we're going to auto text message those individuals for whatever reason of lead magnet they joined. Why did you join the group? Did you get the link to the ebook? Just
Right.
conversational starter text messages. And once they respond, then we go into a manual conversation.
Mm-hmm. I love the concept of SMS over DMs and complete reliance on social media. I mean, we did something the same. You and I spoke about this a little while ago. You know, we don't use it as a lead generation tactic, right? Which is where I'm really curious and interested about yours. We use it as more of like a CRM, like a true
Management
CRM.
tool. Yeah.
Yep. A sales management pipeline. Hit them with the follow-ups, the SMS, but we love doing our follow-ups via SMS as opposed to Instagram, Facebook, because if anyone's listening and you haven't been blocked on any social media ever, God bless you. I don't know what you did or what you do, or maybe you're not doing enough, but Mike, have you been blocked at some point?
I feel like some days it's like treading in water.
Yeah.
To get out of, to have some reach on something.
It is hard.
It's
so just
tough.
being able to connect with them on their phone, which is where they are most of the day anyway, right? Everybody checks their text messages. Not everyone checks their request folder on Facebook.
So another statistic for you.
Okay? Yep, let's hear it.
97% of text messages are read in the first 5 minutes.
Mm.
I don't need to tell you my opinion compared to the 20% open rate of an email on which one's better.
Yep, exactly.
But here's the thing too. We understand the psychology of meeting the lead where they're at versus where we want them to be, is that if you join my group, you downloaded my thing, and you follow me as an organic follower, are you going to leave me on red? I am the authority figure. You join my group.
Mm-hmm.
You join my thing. Why would you not be grateful and appreciative that I reached out to you? Because you wanted to learn from me. And so the approach that we simply take, when I say meet the lead where they're at versus where you want them to be, everyone listening to this wants more clients. You can't have clients without leads. So you should focus on getting leads. And then you understand your conversion rate, it prints clients. Mm-hmm. When you focus on getting clients, it's, I got 5 spots open. Work with me now. DM me. Comment below. You're asking people to raise their hand. The problem is that Becky, who's 35 pounds overweight, doesn't want to raise her hand and say, hey, I'm fat, I need help. That's only for the bold and brave and ready to take action. But that entire time, I would join your Facebook group, though. Let me start my diet on Monday. Let me get it together. Let me get the kids back in school. Let me figure out my schedule, and then I'll reach out. Mm-hmm. Right? This is what we're going through right now, New Year's resolutions, right? Everyone's like, when, if, and they wait and delay it.
Oh, yeah.
Fitness is an impulse purchase. And so we have to get them immediately instead of waiting for whenever they're ready, because no one's ready.
So basically assuming that these people are going to be more passive, meeting them where they're at, letting them be more passive in the beginning, reach out to them privately. So are you completely against hand-raising posts, or is that just, do you not feel that that's the best mode?
Great question. There are different tactics to use. And so raising your hand in a post, application, Facebook group, challenge, scholarship, these are all tactics. I don't like a tactic. I like a strategy. And a strategy is developed of many tactics. And so because only 3% of people are ready to buy today, when you raise that hand post, you're eventually going to exhaust the 3% of your audience, right? Which is why you see e-commerce companies always having different types of sales, different types of offers, different types of flavors. It's always something different because maybe, the call to action post, they're not ready, but they'll join the group. Or maybe they don't want to join your group, but they'll do the hard post, the hard call to action. And so what we try to focus on is a pyramid. And I read this in a book, Sell Like Crazy. It's a great book if you haven't read it.
Mm.
And what it does essentially is creates this pyramid structure, right? The bottom percentage is a 60%. 60% of people are not aware that they have a problem.
Correct.
This is where you create content that will basically strike a nerve with somebody, or you talk about 3 reasons why you're not losing weight versus
Sure.
3 reasons on how to lose weight, right?
Yep.
20% of your audience is aware they have a problem, but not looking for a solution. 17% of people are aware they have a problem and they're gathering information, but not ready to buy. And 3% of people are ready to buy. So unless your Instagram growth is outgrowing the 3% of people taking action, that tactic is going to dry up.
Sure.
Right? You can't keep fishing in the same pond and catch all the fish and expect them to magically show up again. You got to add more fish.
And that's what not to interrupt here, but I was just wrapping up a client one-to-one, and that's a conversation we had where I struggled with this in the beginning of my business as well. It was more conversations. And then, a mentor had mentioned to me, like, the bulk of your sales that you're going to have in the next month, you've already spoken to. Already spoken to them. You already know them. It may have been a year ago. It may have been a month ago, but you already have that conversation going for all the people that you're going to sell in the next 30 to 60 days. It was like that moment was like the big mind blowing. And so I was just having that conversation with one of my clients, and I think he had that same epiphany moment where I was like, dude, you're reaching out to a ton of new people, but we can't put all of our eggs in that basket. Okay. It should be obviously a part we have to keep the top of the funnel loaded, but most of the sales, most of the money is already in your pipeline. You already spoke to them. So.
Yep. And again, like going back to different type of tactics, right? We need to reach out to people that we don't know. Reach out to people that like our posts, that comment on our posts, new followers, right? These are all different tactics to strike conversations because conversion is in the conversation.
Yeah.
The more conversations you have, Bradley said it best, in my opinion, the more hands you shake, the more deals you make.
Of course. And that's where I think things are getting a little bit more murky just in this industry, just because, 2 years ago when I started in this space, it was most people didn't even have, maybe they had Zoom on their phone because of the pandemic and they did like some group calls with their friends, but no one had really used Zoom in like a casual setting, like getting on a sales call or anything like that. And in the past 2 years, we're past that stage. People have been sold to, whether it be on the phone, on Zoom, over funnels and things like that. Like, people are privy to the idea of being sold online, right? And then now with AI, took the world by storm at the beginning of the year. It was like March or May or something like that in the spring. Now people are even more weary about even responding. People would respond and then not get on the call. Now they're weary about even responding in DMs because they don't feel like it's authentic, and then they don't want to be sold. So with those problems kind of moving up this, up the stream, how are you able to use automations in a system like that and prevent, how do I say, like, the resistance from the clients?
Sure. So I'll go back to the phrase I made a statement earlier. Meeting the lead where they're at versus where you want them to be. So the whole purpose of starting conversation is to first become their friend. People buy from friends. They don't necessarily buy from strangers. And so because sales is an emotional purchase, we have to make an emotional connection. Now, let me ask you this. What has a deeper meaning to you? Somebody that sends you a DM or somebody that sends you a text?
I don't want to play devil's advocate, but I feel like I couldn't tell you offhand. It would be contextual, right? Typically, if they have my number, there's more of a relationship. So,
right. Which means you're automatically putting this person more in the friend category versus somebody online.
I would agree. Unless it's something that says text stop to opt out. And then I'm like, all right,
sure, absolutely. Right. And so, but then again, remember that this isn't a stranger. You joined my thing.
Yeah.
And so obviously for legal purposes, you have to do that, right?
Sure.
But that's what we usually do on the first text, and then it's conversation based after that. So for legal purposes, yes. However, there's also different ways to word things. So, and one thing I need people to know is that whenever you're creating automations, I'm not trying to AI my way to a sale. I do not believe in that. I don't think that AI is going to replace a human touch. But what I do believe is that the more that we can help coaches automate uh, the stuff that just takes up bandwidth and time,
yeah,
the better.
yeah.
So I don't need to send out a message to every single person that joins my group if I can do that automatically. And then once they respond, they get kicked out of the automations and go to manual conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So what we try to do is anything you do more than once, I want to automate.
Yeah.
Check-ins, links to get on calls, whatever it may be. So that way we can spend more time growing the business and not maintaining the business. Because I would have to assume that 95% of listeners are a solo business. They don't have assistants. They don't have VAs. They don't have assistant coaches.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have people that can help them do those tasks. So what we try to do is basically create another arm in the business, another version of you, so that you are only working on things that come to you versus you having to go to other things. If you have to do all the outreach, you're going to get burnt out.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's what people are like, I'm tired of sending cold DMs. I bet you are.
Yeah.
Right? It's a tactic. It's not a business. Right? Just like a Facebook group, it's not a business, it's a tactic. And so I think that for us, right, not that anything I do has IP, but damn, I feel like I'm smart at what I do. And the reason being is that I'm not going to send one big bulk text message.
Yeah.
I'm going to send multiple. I'm going to misspell things. I'm not going to capitalize things. I'm going to create automations that look so humanized.
Yeah.
That makes a person go, I have no idea whether this is real or fake.
Yeah.
But that's the point. Because we're not perfect. And because we're not perfect, leads are going to fall through the crack if we're not having things in a CRM.
Yeah.
I mean, how many times have coaches or even yourself had a DM conversation like, man, when was the last time I talked to this person? And we got to scroll and try to find them.
Yeah.
Right? That's not a business. That's us working an hourly wage of scrolling.
Yeah.
Right.
And yeah, I think pipeline management is one of the most overlooked aspects of any business. And again, this is something,
yes.
There's so many levels to everything. It was like when I got into sales, I was like, damn, okay, I'm pretty good at sales. Then I hire a new mentor. I'm like, holy smokes, I am not where I need to be.
Yeah.
Learn from that mentor. Then there's another one and you're like, Jesus, why didn't I think of that? Same goes on with marketing. And again, I don't think enough people talk about pipeline management. And this is so relevant for me because again, I thought we were pretty good. Hired a mentor and he took my pipeline. He said, it sucks. It sucks. It's not systemized. It's not enough. And we restructured, we completely overhauled everything. And since we've done that, Mike, I am not kidding you, life-changing results for the business. And that's what we've been kind of like implementing those same concepts into like our clients as well. Just having a systematic way to follow up, having a different way of re-engaging conversations without just saying, hey, just following up. Hey, how you been?
Which is the worst line to ever use.
Terrible. Just
hey, I'm just following up.
Yep.
One thing I like to use, and I stole this, is I've tried to reach out a few times. I haven't heard back from you.
Where do you think?
Where should we go from
here? Yeah. Is that a Jeremy Minor line?
It is.
Yeah.
And it works fantastic.
Oh yeah. Jeremy's great. That was my first mentor. And I'm ashamed to say that I think every line of his memorized or just singed into my brain.
Well, that's good because he's great.
Yeah. I know he's wonderful. Right. So it is.
Here's another thing
we should go from here.
Out there. Let me say this. I think this is really big for a lot of people, and I hope it's a gut check for many listening. If you don't know your numbers, you're a trainer, you're not a business.
Yeah. 100%.
If you don't know your data, and you don't know your conversion rate, and you don't know how many leads you got in, and you don't know your sales process from starting conversation to check-ins, and you can't create an SOP, right? You're just a trainer. And there's nothing wrong with that. But you can't complain about the business not growing when you don't have a business.
I was going to say that I would stack on that. I think there is something wrong with that. given the expectations, which I think is where you were alluding to at the end. Like, you can't talk about how you struggle with X, Y, and Z, how you struggle to get sales, you struggle to book calls, you struggle to take home money at the end of the month. You can't complain about those things if you're not tracking them. If you don't have anything measurable where you can compare month over month, if you're not doing those things, you said it exactly. You're a trainer. And if that's what your intention was, great. But I don't think it was if you have the LLC behind your name.
Right. Well, the other thing too is like, when I get on calls with people, like what we do is not for somebody looking to make a side hustle and make $2,500 extra dollars.
Right.
Like if you don't have the intentions of growing to 10K a month, then you're not going to put in what it takes to actually build a business. And so you're not for us.
Correct.
Right. I've fired clients inside my agency where we're doing like for e-com, like ads and websites and emails, text messaging, like the full works. Like, and everyone needs to know just because you pay somebody doesn't mean that it's going to work.
No.
Like a mentor and a business to help you is to do just that. Give you the tools and help you get to the next level with knowledge and systems and software.
And we say that we talk about the push-pull buying process so often because that's our claim to fame, right? One of the biggest pushes I'll give on any call is, hey, listen, none of this, Mike, absolutely none of this, everything we talked about, all of that, none of it works unless you do. The moment that you stop putting in effort, everything stops. It comes to a dead halt. Okay. So I just need to know, like, before we take that next step, do you see yourself actually sticking this out, actually showing up to the calls and putting in the work? Right. If I don't have the impression, if I've not gotten the impression on or throughout the sales process that you're going to actually show up, I'm going to stress test over and over and over until you either yell at me and tell me that you're going to put in the work, or you admit and show your cards that you're really not that serious. And that's okay. That's okay because you haven't bought yet. But I don't want to find out that you're not very serious 2 months in when I haven't seen you on a single call or heard from you.
Right.
That drives me
As a
insane.
line that I typically use also is, look, no amount of money you pay me is going to be worth a bad review. And so if you're not willing to show up for yourself, then I just don't think this is going to be a good fit for you.
Mm-hmm.
But if you are willing to show up, you are willing to put up the work, you are willing to make the calls and do the things we say, then I think we can help you build a very successful business.
Yep.
But only if you build a successful business. I'm just going to help you get there.
Yep. And fitness, health, relationships, whatever you're selling, have the ability, have the guts. Okay. And I know this is hard coming from a podcast. It is, there's a lot of useful things that you can take and implement. This might be a harder one just because it's easier to say than do. But if you can stomach it, if you can have the guts to tell someone no, if you can have the guts to go into every single call, even keel, like Mike has to convince me as much as I have to convince him that this is a good idea. And if he fails to do that and I stress test it, and he continues to not give off the impression that he's serious about this, why on earth, despite any amount of money, why on earth would I bring him in as a client for a bad review, 0 testimonials, 0 referrals, and a ton of stress because I'm following up with him and potentially a chargeback that I have to dispute and go through all that BS? It's not worth it. I promise you, especially in fitness, in that $3,000 to $8,000 ticket range, I'm telling you right now, it is not worth it. Maybe in the 50 to 100,000 range, we can talk. Maybe that's a separate conversation, but in this range, it's not.
Well, I've been in those ranges to where I charge between $5,000 and $7,000 a month for the agency. It's even worse.
How so?
Because the expectation is so much higher from the client's end because they're paying so much more money.
Makes sense.
Right. So when somebody's paying you, anywhere between $60,000 to $90,000 a year for you to help their business, and they're a pain in the ass on the first call, well, you wait until you have a bad month.
Yep.
And they are a fucking nightmare.
Yep.
And it's like, this just isn't worth it. Because think about it. Somebody's like, for $5,000, I'd do whatever. Okay. First of all, you have employees at that level, right? Which means you're only actually going to be making, let's just say $1,200. It ain't worth the $1,200. to have your entire team stressed out,
Yep.
for them to be up at 10 p.m. working on something because that client was last minute breathing down how they're ready to quit. It's just not worth it.
No.
It's just not.
And so when you can have that ability, I think it comes from experience. Like you've obviously had that experience. I've had that experience, and many people have, I think, after they've done it for a little while. When you have that ability to go into every single situation, just tell yourself, I'm fine either way. If I sign Mike up to work with me, great, wonderful. I will crush it, because I know we'll crush it, because I will have vetted him and stress tested every single answer he's given me to know for a fact that if we are taking that step mutually, that it's in his best interest. But I also will go into that call knowing, like, if he doesn't sign up, we're good, man. We're good. Like, even if we need money, even if it's a bad month, we're still good.
Yes. And I think that's a good point to put out is, one, people love to pay me money. That's what I tell myself. And when I know people want to pay me money, then I show up with like, hey, I know you're wanting to do this, so let's just figure out the details and do it. But at the same time, to go off what you said, if I feel somebody's like, man, this is going to be a real jackass, and this has been for fitness and business, I will raise price to be like, well, if we're going to work together, you're definitely going to make it worthwhile to me.
Yeah.
I mean, as coaches, we set our own prices for everything, right? If I feel like you're going to be more of a headache, I'm going to make it worth my while. Otherwise, I don't need you.
Yeah.
And I also try to do that to deter them, but also, too, it makes them step up to the plate in an even bigger way, because a discounted client is your worst client.
I was going to say,
you can agree to that.
I would want a PIF for sure. I don't know about the definitely the PIF. Increase in price, I'm not against it. It's just like, if you're going to require a lot more energy from me, let's reevaluate this in a month. Like, you can, I'd rather give them an opt out, because even if we increase the price, it might still not be worth it. It's like, okay, either you're paying a full or we're going to do a trial. Let's give it 30 days. Let's see how receptive everything is. Because I've also brought in clients who I was on the cusp of letting them go just because things weren't jiving. For whatever reason, there was like a lot of tension. But then you realize that sometimes it's other things going on. Sometimes it has nothing to do with business, and that wound up being a wonderful client. And
I mean, I dissolved the business last year that was doing $500,000 a year because I didn't want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to change directions. I wanted to focus on something else that was going to give me less stress, more time to focus on something I love doing. And so, like, no amount of money is going to make you even happier. It makes life easier, but more money, more problems, man.
Yeah.
And so sometimes it's like not worth it. And I'll be honest, with my own personal companies, I've never really did PIFs. And I think that's two reasons. When you have employees, they have to stay motivated. And so for myself, I'm like, hey, like, the only way you're going to continue to get paid is if this client stays.
Mm.
And sometimes naturally we focus on things that are urgent based off paycheck.
Yeah.
Right. For example, all you guys listening, that client's got that last month coming up and it's time to reorder. Why are you putting in the most energy the last month and not like halfway through the program?
It's funny how that works.
Because you want them to repurchase.
Sure.
Well, at that point, it's too damn late. Your service is half-assed in the beginning or through the middle of it. And then now all of a sudden you're coming on strong because you got to make that money. Well, what if you brought that same attentive to like every month and every call?
Mm-hmm.
Then they would see better results.
Or at least
they would be happy with the whole.
Just
you
not
get more referrals.
Sorry to interrupt there.
Right. So one of the rules that we have, it's a core value of ours, is it's called day 51. Day 51, you treat that client the same as you did day one. If you take that approach, you will have a very successful referral business.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And setting those referrals early too. You know, people are most likely to refer. I can't remember the statistic offhand, but it's like it's exponentially higher. If somebody refers a client in the first 30 days, they're exponentially higher to continue to refer. So that first 30 days, crucial. And then, like Mike said, you know, day 51, revisit it. Ask frequently. I tell it, we built our whole company off of referrals. I mean, we didn't get, fun fact, we didn't sell a single person from ads, Mike, for the whole first year of C4F because nobody knew us. Nobody gave a
Yeah.
shit about C4F. There's enough business coaches. What do you do that's so different? Well, now people understand what's different, right? So we have a little bit more of a market share than we did, but we didn't sell anybody for an entire year on ads. And so our only hope was referrals. And so we just grinded it out. We asked anybody and everybody, referral, testimonial, and it worked. It worked pretty well, actually.
Really, that's a really great approach. For most companies and businesses, I never suggest ads.
Interesting. Why is
And
that?
the reason is that if you can't make an organic sale, how the hell are you going to get a cold traffic sale?
Oh, you're saying don't recommend the ads.
I don't recommend running ads on behalf of your company
Right.
until the net is set.
I thought you meant
If you're going
referrals.
fishing, you get a bunch of bites, but how are they going to get in the boat?
Yeah.
You got to have a good net. You got to know your numbers.
Mm-hmm.
If you're just like training and then all of a sudden you're just boosting some ads, it's like, okay, what KPIs are you working on? Because you have no idea what a KPI is.
Exactly. You know why?
You don't know you're not tracking your conversions. You don't know your click-through rates, right? You don't know your form submission rates. Like,
Mm-hmm.
what are your CPMs? Like, I've spent millions of dollars on ads
Mm-hmm.
personally and for other companies through the agency. It is really hard.
Yep.
Because I, for example, in 2020, I spent $1.2 million on ads for the coffee company.
Nice.
I probably lost $300,000 or $400,000. Now, the reason I lost it was because I didn't have a mentor in place that knows how to spend $100,000 a month on ads.
Right.
I went from spending 20 to 212. And it's like, that's not the same business.
No, it's a very different system.
Now we're getting into where, a lead, where a click costs 15 cents more.
Yeah.
Well, times 15 cents times 150,000 a week. Like, it adds up.
Yeah.
But we don't think about those things because we're like, well, I got here, I can do it myself. And it's like, no, there are different mentors for different levels of stuff.
Oh yeah.
Right. So anybody, and it's something funny too, is like, I think making $1 million is easy. It's not crazy difficult. Layla Hermosi said it. The difference between 6 figures and 7 figures is doing the same things and being consistent, just in a bigger way.
Yep. Exactly.
However, going from 7 figures to 8 figures is a whole nother ballgame.
It requires,
and you can't get there without ads. And so it becomes to where it's like a whole nother animal.
Mm-hmm.
And then above that and beyond, it's just about damn near possible.
Let me ask you this. I know we've covered so much, and for anybody that's listening, guys, I if you find value in this is going to be my shameless CTA here. If you find value, it would mean the world to me if you reviewed the podcast, if you shared with a friend, if you're listening to any of this, and you think of someone that would benefit from lead gen, from the psychology of the DMs, of automations, of any of this, just share it with a friend. That's all I ask. Okay, help a friend out today. Now, Mike, I want to hear your opinion. Do you think that most small business owners want a 7-figure business? Do you think they actually want it? Not the fallacy or the idea, but actually want the responsibility that comes with a 7-figure every single year, every month, $83,000 a month business. Do you think people want that?
No, they want the lifestyle which they think it gives them.
Talk to me about that.
So you see the guy posts online that's got the McLaren, got the Lambo, got the nice house, traveling in the jet.
I know that guy. Yep.
Right? We all do. And, I'll point my own finger. 2 weeks ago, I went to New York, private jet, helicopter, security, blah, blah, blah. Had a fantastic time. I was invited on that trip.
Mm-hmm.
I did not pay for that trip. And I can see how somebody's like, man, this lavish lifestyle is what I want.
Yeah.
And then I look back at the businesses that I've done and run and create and realize the amount of work that goes into creating one.
Mm.
And I heard a quote one time, and I might butcher it. And it said that it's easy to build a 7-figure company. It's just really hard to become the man it takes to build a 7-figure company.
I like that.
That takes 10 years to make. It's easy to do it, but to be able to be the man that can handle it, that can manage it, that can keep showing up even on the hard days, because you're going to fail more than you win
Always.
at that level. That's the hard part.
Yeah.
That's the part that makes you want to quit.
People don't.
That's the part that makes you go, well, maybe I'll just take my 10 grand in profit and just call it a day.
Yep. Or maybe I'll go back to a salary job where I get healthcare benefits, retirement, and paid vacation. Maybe this isn't worth it at all, because my 10K doesn't go as far as 10K from a business or a job.
I had a friend of mine tell me one time who owns 51 apartments. He said, I was like, dude, why don't you do more? He goes, Mike, I'll be honest with you. What's going to change in my lifestyle after making $30,000 a month profit? What's going to change?
And that's
I get up in the morning. Whenever I wake up, I read, I go do yoga, I come back and work 3 hours, and then I do whatever for the rest of the day. He goes, don't I have the lifestyle that I want? And have the money to be able to do whatever I want, whenever I want, and drive whatever I want? And it was like, the next level isn't worth the energy that it takes.
You know what that
And I
is?
was like,
It's stability. People want stability, and they think that with 7 figures, they have stability. Because to win at life is to be able to do the things that you want, to wake up and live a life that you enjoy. But it also has to have there's the element of purpose, right? You have to have purpose in what you do, whether it be through your job or through extracurriculars, donation, volunteering, whatever habit. You have to have purpose, but you also have to have the ability to have some freedom, right? And that's what everybody's after. And they see the private jet, they see the nice cars, they see this, and they see freedom. But in reality, you have. Let me give you a personal example. We scaled C4F to 7 figures in year 1. We don't do 7 figures anymore. And that is by design. I don't want that lifestyle. We scaled up 16 people, and listeners of the podcast, you guys have heard this story. I get it. If you don't, check this out. We scaled up to 16 people. I hated it. I was more anxious. I was borderline depressed. I didn't get to enjoy anything. I made more money than I do now, and I didn't get to do anything with it. I did not like it.
I was working 12-hour days.
12 to 14, and it was 6-7 days a week. We did no travel. We didn't do any of that. And that's when it occurred to me. I'm like, what I thought I wanted, the Instagram pictures, the grid, isn't what the reality is. I think we all know that by now. So that's why we don't even, we tell people, if you want to go to 7 figures and beyond, there's better mentors, like you mentioned earlier. There's someone better out there that's done it and enjoyed it and liked it enough to continue, and now they teach it. There's better mentors. I'm not your guy.
I've got a good friend, client, does very, 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 very well. 8-9 figures. Excuse me, 9 to 10 figures.
Jesus.
Growth. And he said to me, I was like, how do you get to that level? And he said, you hire the best people that you can find. He said, you empower them, get the fuck out of the way.
Yep.
You can't run a company like that by yourself.
No.
Here's the real truth. Entrepreneurs are C to B students. I was like a B plus A minus student. They're willing to take the risk, but you're not smart enough to run the company.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So you hire the C-suite people who had 4.0 GPAs, who are smarter than you and better than you at certain tasks, but aren't willing to take the risks.
Yep.
Which is why you're in the position as the owner.
Yep.
And so you have to find people that are smarter than you, not those that are ballsier than you.
Exactly.
Because you're not going to find one, because if you started your own business, you are up against the wall. Odds are you're going to fail. That's a fact.
Yeah.
2% of online e-commerce stores make 7 figures. Odds are you're going to fail.
98% chance.
But the difference is that you get the opportunity to have the freedom. Do you work less? Absolutely not. But the difference is you get to choose whether you want to work that day. Now, as achievers, we go, well, I need to work today. I'm going to work today, or I feel like I'm a lazy piece of shit. Right?
Mm-hmm.
At least that's me.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure
No,
many
I can.
people attest to that. But at the same time, last year I took 17 trips, whether it be business, personal, weekend.
Mm-hmm.
I basically left the house 17 times on a plane. So with that being said, I had the freedom to do whatever I wanted to do. Put the right people in place, you can do that. At the same time, if you run a higher profit margin business, which means you have less people, which means you gross less,
Mm-hmm.
then you're able to do more and travel more because you don't have to cover that overhead.
Oh, exactly. I mean, that's the most interesting thing about that's our sustainable growth model. What you just did is you paraphrased exactly what we do. Tiny teams, high profits. Because what I found in going from 16, we're a team of 5. We're a team of 5 from 16 to 5. Our top line was much higher. My bottom line, again, it was still more than what it is now, but not much more. That's the craziest thing. We don't do as much in income because we know we have a limit now. We can't take on quite as many people. So the people we do take on, we do our damnedest to get them where they need to go. And then they typically re-sign and refer. And that's the model that I enjoy. Right. And so that's what I don't want to say gift because I'm not giving it away. That's what I want to help provide for other people is just learn from my experience. 7 figures isn't shit without the quality of life aspect. But if you can make anywhere from even 15 to, I say even 15. 15 is like where I would consider like top line. 15 top line revenue, you could still take home probably around 7 to 9 grand, depending on, what you're spending money on personally and things like that.
Absolutely.
You can do anything you want there. You can invest. You can put money into 401k. You can put money into stocks. You can potentially, save up for a few months, get a partner, buy some real estate. You can pay for your own healthcare at that stage. You could do all the things that provide you that stability factor that we talked about that everybody's going to 7 figures for. You could do it as low as 15K. 10, it's close, it's close in my opinion.
Married?
Pardon?
And you don't live in the city?
Yeah, right.
You can live the life whatever you want.
10 top line, yeah, as it filters down, you factor in taxes, healthcare, 401k, Roth.
Sure. I always refer into like 10K, like bring home, which would be like,
right,
17 drugs.
Yeah. Then you're cooking, right? You're cooking with gas.
Yeah.
So it's just realigning the expectation. Like you can save yourself a lot of heartache if you can just create something that's predictable and sustainable. Those are the two things that I think everybody actually wants that you're not going to get with 7 figures. You're more topsy-turvy than you ever were.
I'll tell you a few pieces of advice I learned along the way. And is that if you want to have freedom, don't live like you're rich.
I dig that.
Don't go buy the $40,000 AP watch. Stick with the Breitling at $5,000.
I was gonna say, don't go straight to the watches. You're gonna put the dagger right in my chest. I don't have an AP though.
Right. It's on my list, but I tell you what, when I was in New York looking at it, I mean, look at this. This is an AP business card. You can't see.
Authorized, yeah.
That I went to New York and sat down and talked to a guy. And I sat there and I was like, nah. Because here's the thing about me, and I think that everybody that wants to create freedom needs to have this mindset. You know what I fucking love?
What's that?
Cashing a check.
Yeah.
You know what I hate? Writing one.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like spending money.
No.
I love collecting it.
But I'll challenge you on that. That watch, you're not spending any money. All you're doing is you're taking all that cash that's in your bank and you're just transferring it into another. It is. I mean, like the watch that I have an app. If you have like Chrono 24, it goes up and down like stocks. You can exchange that AP and you might make money on it, to be honest, if you got it from an AD.
Sure.
But anything else,
you have the ability to get an AP from AP, you buy it.
Exactly.
You take out the loan and you
Yep,
buy
just like a Rolex, because you're going to sell it for 50% higher at least.
Yeah. And those that don't know, you can't just walk in the AP and buy a watch. Like, you have to build a relationship. You have to be selected through your director and your boutique. Like, you can't buy one in Dallas and then fly to New York and buy one.
Join wait
it's very
lists and
selective.
you sit there and buy other stuff from them. If you got an engagement ring to buy, you better buy it from them.
Right. You got to spend money before they allow you to buy stuff, which is the craziest business model.
How cool is that?
But they work because of scarcity.
Exactly. It's so crazy.
And actually, I think COVID blew that up because everyone went and purchased and they realized, oh, people will spend whatever to get it.
Yeah.
Guilty. I bought a Corvette.
Yeah.
I paid MSRP plus a fee over top of it, and I ordered it from the factory.
What was
I could have went and bought one on the site or on the lot that day for an extra $20,000 because people were doing that. However, I was like, I'm not doing that.
Wow.
I'll order it, waited 17 months, paid MSRP plus a fee that they charged because they could.
Damn.
And I could easily turn around and sell it right now and make a profit.
Sure.
But because of 2020 and the everyone is having more cash.
Yeah.
Somehow, some way, everybody had more cash, and there were more credit cards pulled out than ever before.
Yeah. Everything was just, people were spending their hats off, dude.
Yeah, and now you notice that economy is a little tight because
imagine
credit cards are maxed out.
Imagine
E-commerce not doing so well.
Student loans back in action.
That's right.
Objections galore. It's the way of the world, my friend. But yeah, you talk watches, you're talking to my heart and soul. But that's one of the very few exceptions where if you have the money and you want to reward yourself, let it be something that holds value, where you're literally just exchanging currency. Because if anything, Mike, ever went south, you can sell that AP, you can get your 40, maybe 50 or more, right? And you can go back and now you have cash again. All you did was just hold it within that watch and you got to wear it for a while. That's what I love about that aspect. But
it's the difference between an asset and a luxury.
So if you go buy a freaking boat and a bunch of other silly stuff, as soon as you get some money, that's a separate discussion.
And based on that too, I think a lot of people that want to have that 7-figure company, right? What you want is the ability to live the lifestyle of somebody that makes 7-figure.
Mm-hmm.
It's a hell of a lot cheaper to rent a boat than it is to fly one.
Oh yeah, Freedom Boat Club, baby.
A lot cheaper to rent a car when you go on vacation than it is to fly one.
Mm-hmm.
So like, go to California, take the vacation, rent the Lambo, rent the Vet, rent whatever it is you want for the 4 days, spend $5,000 because that's going to be 2-month car payment on just the car.
That's an oil change.
You can live the lifestyle for a fraction of the cost. You just have to be smart about it.
Yeah. And there's, I don't even want to say it because I feel like it's so cheesy and played out, but there's just so much more to life. Like, again, and I'll leave you guys with this because I don't want to feel like I'm preaching, but a lot of what we do is like a little bit of financial guidance. We look at the numbers, we break it all down, we make sure that the lifestyle matches the income. And that's really important, obviously, right? There's just so much more that you can do. And you can, and how do I say this in the best way? You can read from any billionaire, any millionaire, any ultra successful person. They're all going to tell you all the things that they had. If you have feelings, if you have doubts, if you have imposter syndrome, it's only amplified when you get to those higher statuses. Fix your shit first before you think about scaling up to the 7-8 figure status. We say that like it's easy, but before you even try to, because it's only going to amplify all those insecurities. Everything you want is way closer and way more within reach than that 7-figure status.
Absolutely.
All of it. Mike, dude, this was fun. Complete blast. Where can people find you?
Man, the best place to find me is on Instagram. Okay. Mike_CROWSO.
Beautiful. I'm going to put it in the show notes too. I'll link them right to your Instagram. They can, guys, give him a follow. Check out what he's doing. I think it's a really cool thing. Really, really good way to, again, offload some different tasks with automations, and then a different way to generate some leads. I am going live on Monday. I just want to throw this out there to you guys. I put up a poll all over the place. You probably saw it on 10 different social medias. I asked if anybody wanted me to go live on objection handling for holidays. All the things of I can't afford this right now. I'm traveling a lot. I don't want to spend money because I'm buying gifts. All the different, I don't want to diet through Thanksgiving and Christmas, and I'll start in the new year. If you guys are hearing any of these objections, I put it out there, gave you guys some examples. You guys emphatically said, yes, please do a training on it. So on Monday, it's going to be my first training. God bless it. Have patience with me. It's going to be my first live on Instagram ever. I don't even know how to do it. So I'm going to go on YouTube and figure that out. I'm going to go live on Instagram. I'm going to share all the word tracks, everything, from the DMs all the way to the sales process at the very end of the call, how to overcome those objections. And let me wrap this up here. If you stick around to the end, I'm going to give you guys a little insight as to what we're doing for Black Friday, what we're offering. It's going to be huge. It's more money than we've given away ever in my very short life of owning this business. So it's going to be tremendous. So guys, thanks for sticking around, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.